A wonderful afternoon to you. Good afternoon from the nation's capital, Abuja, Nigeria. FCT Nigeria, correct? The correct way to say it. Today, you're welcome to Vision Nigeria this Wednesday, June 9, 2021. And I have the pleasure to speak with you this afternoon to talk about some of the topical issues in our nation at the moment. I am Osaitin Yari. It's a wonderful time to be with you once again, as today we discuss a topic, freedom of expression. I don't think I need to take you back to all the controversy that's happening in Nigeria at the moment, but there's a lot of it. And where is it coming from? The federal government's decision last week Friday to suspend indefinitely the operations of the microblogging site called Twitter. Right, as you know, at this moment in Nigeria, it is illegal to use that site for any other thing, to send messages as usual, as you used to do. In fact, to ensure that that is complied with, the service has been disabled in the country, unless for those who are using the service through virtual private networks, and therefore, subverting the will of government. But our conversation today flows from the last week when we had our own public hearing on the Constitution Amendment and some of the issues that were raised, by our lawmakers at their various meetings across the country. Today we do call it another public hearing, if you like. Let's also hear the views of the public into government's move, to suspend Twitter operations. Does this for you qualify as an attempt, an affront, another move by government to suppress the voice of the people? Do you think that the civic space of Nigeria is being shrunk? Or do you think otherwise? Do you think that government is in the right here and this should have been done long ago? Or you suggest that some form of regulations should take place to ensure that users of the social platform remain and stay in the right in terms of their freedom of expression, in terms of expressing themselves in a manner, as some people have called, responsible use of their freedom of expression. So which side of the conversation or the divide are you on? The phone lines will be open for you to call into the conversation and share your thoughts. We'll be happy to hear you. We'll be happy to sample opinion. And we'll be happy to discuss some of these issues with you and then see how we can put all of this together in the interest of our wonderful nation, Nigeria. And that's how I say welcome. And as usual, you know that when we discuss on this program, we like to take you through understanding concepts, understanding issues, getting background information, knowing where these issues, how they play in terms of our laws, the enabling laws in the country that allow this, the laws across the world. For example, because in the conversation we are speaking to, a lot of people have pegged it to human rights. And so human rights are, of course, are universal rights. And so we peg all of these conversations to these issues so that it can give you a better and richer understanding. And so where you have conversations on your own end or off radio, you can also have very rich conversations, very informative conversations, and we improve your knowledge. And that's why I always invite you to be part of Vision Nigeria every Wednesday at 1:05 p.m. We do this till 1:55 p.m., so that's approximately 50 minutes. And of those 50 minutes, we ensure that you get the best of knowledge. And I ask you, what is freedom of expression? If you know, call me later on and tell me what is freedom of expression. But let's begin by explaining for those who do not know that in the Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, freedom of expression is guaranteed this way, and it reads, everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impact information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, also guarantees that right. In Section 39, subsection 1, it says, every person shall be entitled to freedom of expression including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart ideas and information without interference. In essence, the freedom of expression is a fundamental human right enjoyed by everybody, sane and free, as it protects the personal liberty of citizens and promotes democracy. This right comes with some restrictions. In other words, this right is not absolute. In a paper written by Imo J. Udofa, Department of Law, University of Uyo, he explained that there are recognized restrictions and exceptions to this right, one of which is to be found in the law of defamation. Thus, the enjoyment of the right to freedom of expression must take into consideration the right of other citizens to protect their reputation. Dear listeners, please note the last part of that quotation, or what I just said to you now. It is their right, or the right of other citizens to protect their reputation. And so now let's look at more in terms of restrictions and exceptions to the right of freedom of expression in Nigeria. I will be looking at Section 45, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution, which explains the conditions for restrictions and exceptions from the fundamental human right of freedom of expression, as well as all other human rights as follows. And let's read from the Constitution directly. It says, nothing in sections 37, 38, 39, 40, and 41 of this Constitution shall invalidate any law that is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. A. In the interest of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, or public health, or for the purpose of protecting the rights and freedom of other persons. This means that national defense, public safety and order, public health and morality are enough reasons to restrict the enjoyment of the freedom of expression. That is enshrined in our Constitution. Another important reason to restrict the freedom of expression is the protection of the rights and freedom of other persons. This means your freedom of expression can be restricted when it infringes on the rights and freedoms of other people. And recall that I mentioned Imo J. Udofa for you, and he identified some laws, in his paper that limits or restricts freedom of expression in Nigeria. They include the law of sedition, the law relating to treason and treasonable felony, the Official Secret Act, and the law of defamation. But let's take a look at one of these examples, and that's the law of defamation. And the Supreme Court of Nigeria, in the case of Benue Printing and Publishing Co. v. Gwagwada, defined defamation as any imputation which may tend to lower the plaintiff in the estimation of right-thinking members of the society generally, cut him off from society or expose him to hatred, contempt, or ridicule. What this is saying is that any expression from an individual about another individual that may reduce the respect such an individual gets from other right-thinking, sane and free individuals in society, or such expressions that may alienate an individual or expose him to hatred, contempt, or ridicule are categorized as defamation. Udofa put it this way: by Section 373 of the Criminal Code, a defamatory matter is one which is likely to injure the reputation of any person by exposing him to hatred, contempt, or ridicule, or likely to damage any person in his profession or trade by an injury to his reputation. So if you see, what we have done so far is to let you know about the freedom of expression, let you know how it plays into the conversation we have, and also show you as well that our laws also provide for some limits, for some restrictions to the freedom of expression, and the reasons are stated to us. And so on the program today, we'll be doing a deep dive to properly situate the suspension of the operations of Twitter in Nigeria as against the laws of the land. Recall that groups like the Nigerian Bar Association, SERAP, have promised that they will, given the government some time, and promised that they will take the matter up before the courts and before the justice system if the suspension is not obtained, as well as you also have heard from the news that countries across the world, including the UK, Canada, US, Sweden, have come out to strongly oppose the move by the federal government But the federal government has also put its own side to the story, although for some people, they say belatedly, they took the action, then they now began to find reasons to defend their action. All of this will form our focus today, and so you are welcome to be part of this conversation this afternoon. But give me a quick break to drink water, and I'll come back, and of course, we'll be here to listen to you, take your thoughts, and also begin first by listening to our guest who will lay the issues on the table. Don't go anywhere. All right, thank you for remaining with us. The song you just heard, One Nigeria by Agbani Hosfai, one of my favorite songs to always play for you on this program, to remind you the core focus of Vision Nigeria. It is achieving one united and indivisible Nigeria. Thank you for remaining with us. I am Osaiti Yari, so excited to be here and your host for this very interesting conversation that borders on the freedom of expression. And I also like to welcome you again and tell you that joining us as well, because I welcome him now to the conversation this afternoon, is Jide Ojo. He's a public affairs analyst and a columnist based here in the nation's capital of Abuja. He's the man I call when I want to resolve some of these thorny issues and provide very deep understanding for our listeners into the conversation. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Authority. It's a pleasure to be on the program this afternoon. Good afternoon, Nigeria.
All right, you're welcome, sir. So let's just dig into the issues without creating any bias in your mind in this regard. How do you assess the blanket ban or the indefinite suspension on Twitter operations in Nigeria? And if I may add, let's say a good percentage, 60, 70, 80% of the users of that social platform, do not do so for national security purposes. It's many times for entertainment, for their personal business, and all of those, And so those, you can also not remove the extraneous elements who use it for nefarious reasons, of course. And does a blanket ban, does the indefinite suspension address the issues that the government put on the table?
Of course not. Thank you very much once again for the opportunity to speak to Nigeria through your platform. This issue of Twitter ban or indefinite suspension of Twitter operations in Nigeria leaves a sore taste in the mouth. I really do not know why that decision was arrived at beyond just what we call, it borders on executive recklessness. How do I mean? I read the tweet of the Mr. President where he was referring to civil war and the fact that those who currently are fomenting trouble in the Southeast Many of them were not born at that time, over 50 years ago when we fought the Civil War, and that it will make them to understand in the language. It will force them to understand the language they will understand. So I mean, I'm just paraphrasing and not quoting. And then, people complain to Twitter, and Twitter eventually deleted Mr. President's tweet. Yes, it may appear like an affront or a slap on the face of Mr. President, but then compare that to what happened in the U.S. when Donald Trump's tweet was deleted and he was suspended from Twitter and Facebook and Instagram in January this year. I say that you mentioned the culture of tolerance. Yes, even if you have agreed, assuming without considering that the president or the presidency has been sworn, because now we are being told that there is a word of difference between the president and the presidency. Assuming without considering that the presidency was helped by the fact that the president's tweet was deleted, there are channels through which it could have expressed and conveyed its dissatisfaction with the decision of the Twitter to delete the president's tweet. And this could have been resolved diplomatically, amicably, and without all this spat in the public domain. Having said that, people have listened to people who say, look, Nnamdi Kanu also tweeted things that are incendiary, that are inciting, and all of that, and Twitter did not delete those tweets. And for that singular reason, Twitter is promoting the secessionist agenda. Well, Twitter has eventually done so after the protest. So all the tweets from Nnamdi Kanu have been deleted. But do you want to place Nnamdi Kanu at the same pedestal as the president of Nigeria? I think the president has an exalted office than somebody who is a rabble-rouser like Nnamdi Kanu. And don't also forget that even UK has decided to grant asylum to some members of the IPOB proscribed. And of course, that didn't go that well with Nigerian government, and they have their way. Possibly Nigeria will have severe diplomatic relations with UK over that consideration to give some IPOB members amnesty or whatever.
Asylum.
To grant them asylum. Now, coming back to the issue of Twitter, I wrote in my column in the Punch of today that it was a needless distraction. I feel that the presidency just wanted Nigeria to be occupied with something and take our minds off the killings, the abductions, the kidnappings, the insurgency, and the general poor governance that the country is currently experiencing. How do I mean? I did it, in my column last Wednesday. I actually I was doing a review of the Fourth Republic Nigeria, and my conclusion was that successive administration in Nigeria have not been able to deliver on good governance. And I cited, statistics to back up my claim, from the corruption perception index to the Mo Ibrahim good governance index, down to the global terrorism index, to the there are about 5 or 6 indexes that I use, and these are not from me, including even the indexes from the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics, which has put unemployment at 3.3%, has put inflation at about 15-17%, has put Nigeria, at 40% of Nigerians being unemployed. And you look at all of these indexes in the last 22 years, will you clap for any government, whether at federal, state, or local government level? So the point is, we have more pressing things that should occupy our minds than Twitter.
All right.
And I did say, and I'm not mentioning about the fact that there is a build-up to whatever government has done with Twitter. There is a build-up because Jack Dorsey, who is the chief executive officer of Twitter, actually retweeted many of the tweets posted by the EndSARS protesters last October. Not only that, we also mobilized resources for the EndSARS protesters, asking people to donate through Bitcoin to those protesters. That was the first grounds that the Nigerian government had with Jack Dorsey. Second one, on April 19, 2021, when the Jack Dorsey or the Twitter board, let me put it that way so that I don't personalize the issue, when the Twitter board decided to go to Ghana to cite its first African office, as against the thought that Nigeria having over 40 million Twitter users will be the destination of Twitter in Africa anytime it wants to have an African office. But on April 19, 2021, Twitter Incorporated announced that it was going to cite its African office in
Ghana.
That also irked the Nigerian government, and they felt that, in fact, what Alhaji Lai Mohammed, our Information and Culture Minister, said was that it was Nigerian media that made, because of their negative reportage of events in Nigeria, that made Twitter to go to Ghana. But is that true? As Nigerian media has anything to do with this of doing business, as Nigerian media has anything to do with human rights abuses which are daily being recorded, as Nigerian media, they think that the Twitter do not have a staff in Nigeria who can give them first-hand information about what is going on in the country. And when this issue now came up, the issue of deletion of the president's tweet. And don't forget, it's just one tweet that was deleted. The president's account was not deactivated, it was not suspended, it was not blocked. And the president shared the liberty to continue to tweet even after the one that was deleted. How then should Nigerian government now overreact by saying they want to take the entire country out of
interestingly,
whose company is Nigeria today? Nigeria
Interest-
is now in the company of China, North Korea, Iran, Pakistan,
Mr. Joe.
Uganda, and several other countries that are regarded as pariah nations, where there are no democratic values and ethics.
All right, Mr. Joe.
The kind of company Nigeria wants to keep, it is quite unfortunate because, as we know, Section 939, Section 1 and 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has guaranteed every Nigerian the right to freedom of expression.
Exactly, Mr. Joe. So let's come.
They decide to choose.
Yeah, Mr. Joe.
I'm not ignorant of the fact that there are laws against libel, sedition, and even Cyber Security Act 2015 that can deal with the issue of hate speech or fake news and abuses of these social media platforms.
All right, Mr. Joe.
It's also a build-up to what the National Assembly has been doing in terms of trying to come up with social media regulatory legislation, which has not succeeded for some time now. So, in summary, my take is that this is one issue that should have been resolved at the diplomatic level. There should have been an official communication expressing reservation of Nigeria about the attitude or position of Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO of Twitter. And when there is no redress, then Nigeria can escalate it to the level of pulling the country out of Twitter. Not a peremptory decision without even Federal Executive Council meeting somebody in the president, a minister of information and communication will just issue a directive. And to rub insult upon injury, you now have an Attorney General and Minister of Justice threatening fire and brimstone to say that anyone that's still using Twitter in Nigeria will not only be arrested but will be prosecuted. And you ask yourself, under what law? under what law is that prosecution going to take place? And that will not be in conflict with Section 39 of the Constitution.
Okay,
So
Mr. Joe, if I may ask you,
from serious governance issues that Nigeria should ordinarily face.
All right, we hear you. Thank you very much for your opening salvo. And we hear you on it, and a lot of the issues you have thrown up. One thing you have done is also chronicle a lot of history and give for our listeners to see the background to where we are coming from and where we are at the moment. But I want to take you back to one thing you mentioned, and I think two things. Number one is, interestingly, when the federal government made these announcements, first through press release and elsewhere on Twitter, we find that neither the handles of all the leaders, from the president, the vice president, and others, and the government agencies, none of them have at this point, and even immediately the ban was, none of them deactivated their accounts. Those accounts are still there. That's on one hand. But on the second hand, which is another issue you raised what happened with President Trump. And if you remember, President Trump in 2016, early 2017, was the one that, changed the official communication, especially when he took over the White House. From his bedroom, he could, with Twitter, announce policy decisions, announce sack where it was necessary, announce new directions for the country directly to the people, and it's probably about when the office opens later in the day, you now begin to find the staff drawing up the paperwork to back up some of the statements that the president has made. And he, in a way, brought to the fore the use of Twitter for government communication. Before, it wasn't like that. Now, the question to you eventually is that, does the stance, you mentioned the fact that now we are finding that we have a president as well as a presidency. So let's stick to the presidency that announced the suspension. Does the presidency's decision, fall in line with those issues that, the restrictions, because you also mentioned freedom of expression and the restrictions that lie in it? The restrictions to it that include defense, that include public safety, that include public health and morality. Does this suspension, looking at it from the other side, does it comply with all of this?
I don't think so, even though that may be argued by some vested interests. Yes, Twitter, just like every communication tools, can be misused. And it's just like even you as a conventional or orthodox media channel, a number of times you have been sanctioned, your organization has been sanctioned by National Broadcasting Commission for erring on issue of ethics. That is fair. That is good. You are licensed by the NBC, but is Twitter licensed by NBC in Nigeria to operate as a communication channel? Is it licensed by the National Communication Commission? Is it subjected to Nigerian Constitution? I don't think the answers to this are in the affirmative. And don't also forget, and it's good that I appreciate the fact that you reminded us that Donald Trump was the Twitter-in-chief, having millions and millions of followers on Twitter and announcing policy decisions on Twitter. The Nigerian president himself has one or two aides who are his special assistant, senior special assistant on social media. I think there is Ahmed, and Loretta Onoche, and they are there. There is also Tolu Bolesi, two or three of them that actually communicated and communicated policy decisions of government via Twitter. I am of the opinion and consider view that, like everything in life, there are two sides to it. The communication tool, and don't forget, Twitter is not a media, it's not like, it's just a channel of communication. It's not a media house,
Yes.
so to speak. So it doesn't have its own TV or radio. It's just a microblogging platform.
Gives everyone the opportunity.
And I don't know what rules it's subjected to in Nigeria, but I definitely know that it doesn't have correspondence in the Aso Rock to cover presidential functions and all of that. So we need to look at Twitter as just a medium or platform for communication. And there will be abuses. And that's why when there are protests to Twitter on these abuses, it takes action. It can delete, it can block, it can suspend a user. The same thing with Facebook, the same thing with Instagram. If you know, when you are signing on to these tools, these communication tools, remember authorization, they will say terms and conditions apply.
Mm-hmm.
Terms and conditions are always applied. Unfortunately, many of us don't take time to read these terms and conditions because they are very long and they are written in legal language.
Yes.
So what we usually would do is to just click and check okay or yes, and then we are on. And because it's a free channel, not having to pay to open an account, unlike other. If I want to subscribe to a digital TV, satellite TV, I have to pay subscription fee. For Twitter, for Facebook, unless you are advertising
yes.
on this
platform,
it's free, and that's why they have huge followership using those platforms. Now, I agree that there are tendencies to misuse and abuse these platforms. And that's why, you know, imagine how do you monitor effectively 40 million accounts on a daily basis? Definitely, there will be things that will escape your eagle eye, no matter how much, unless you are actually using algorithms that flag certain words. Like I know for Facebook, you can't post nude pictures, you can't use certain words, or even on WhatsApp. Once you start using some words that are forbidden, or you are posting pictures that have to do with nudity or pornography and all of that, you can have your account suspended or deactivated or blocked. So there are and part of the checks and balances which have made some of these platforms to be self-regulatory. I will recount some of them to you. Recall that when we started having many Nigerians signing up to WhatsApp, you can send one information item to as many as 20 people. Then, because of abuse, it has now been reduced to how many? 5. You can only send per time to only 5 people. So it makes it tedious for you to spread falsehood or hate speech or abusive content. And the same thing with Twitter. That's why I made reference to Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the one that has given Twitter the highest level of visibility. I stand to be corrected because the American population is over 300 million, and you have a president that communicates policy decisions via Twitter. So you can just imagine how many millions of people are following, Donald Trump. But in spite of that, in spite of the economic gains that Twitter will have leveraged arising from the millions of people who are following Donald Trump using his media, medium, they still find it convenient to suspend it. And for the next 2 years, Donald Trump cannot tweet, cannot use Facebook, cannot use Instagram. I don't know if he is allowed to use WhatsApp. So it's because of what? Because of certain excesses that he has committed. So the point is, yes, I agree that there are possibilities of abuses, people posting things that can lead to insurrection, internal insurrection, that are inciting, that may be tantamount to hate speech. Yes, I agree. But that's why the medium also have opportunity and agree that when you sign up and you use abusive language or you use content that are against the terms and conditions of your usage of that platform, your tweet can be deleted, you can be suspended, you can be blocked.
All right, Mr. Ajo. Okay, Mr. Ajo, let's do this quickly. Let's open the telephone line so that we can also have individuals who might want to have questions for you, so that they can share those questions. If they also want to, make their contributions, we can also hear from them, and then we'll go on to either answer the questions or close the program in the next 10 minutes. So please stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are now officially open. You can reach me at 0818-427-0287. 0818-427-0287. I'll take it one more time if I was too fast. 081-842-70287. Also take the other number if you can reach us on the first one. It is 0818-427-0265. 0818-427-0265. And for the last time, 0818-427-0265. I hope that the network will be friendly with us today. I'm looking at the signal strength, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get quality network so that you can make quality contributions. The phone lines are now open. Please call us. We await your calls, but yes, we already have one caller, and then we'll take the calls and we'll make progress from there. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. All right, exactly what I speak of, but another one is coming through. Hello, good afternoon. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's what I've mentioned. I hope that the network allows us make these calls. All right, we have two calls coming in at the same time. Let's see who we take first. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Uche. I'm calling from Gariki.
Yeah, welcome to the program.
All right. The issue of Twitter ban in Nigeria is quite appalling. In as much as I know that the presidency they banned them for reasons known to them, because for me the reasons they are giving us is not tenable. If anybody is tweeting using the Twitter platform to spread falsehood or anything, you don't use one man's sin to punish 250 million persons. Are you with me?
Go ahead. Make your contribution.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. 30 seconds left.
Yeah, what should have done if the Twitter deleted the tweet of Mr. President? What they should do is to find a way with a platform. Whatever you put on Twitter, on Facebook, social media, they are the owner of the information. So what they can do is to actually verify the information or caution you. So I don't think the general blanket to ban Twitter in Nigeria from the presidency is the right step to take.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much for your. Thank you very much for your contribution. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, please turn down the volume of your radio set and step back from it. You have 30 seconds. All right, we've lost that caller. Okay, yes, another call. Let's see. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, state your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Masokoro, sir.
Your name, please.
Thank you. I think we have to think deeply into this issue. Why? Because if you are a leader, you have to create room for tolerance at times. Because as a leader, you don't have to go ahead just on your own to make sure you punish millions of your citizens. So it's not qualified totally at all. It's not well matured, to honestly be speaking. So I don't know.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. Two more calls and we'll return back to our conversation today. Our phone lines are open and we're here to receive your calls. Hello, good afternoon. All right.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Tony, and I'm calling from Lagos.
Okay, go ahead, please. 30 seconds for your contribution.
What I want to say is that banning or suspending Twitter is not the problem of Nigeria. The problem of Nigeria is Buhari himself. He is the problem because he originated hate speech and hate problems. If since the inception of Nigeria, we have never had any hate speech or hate anything. But since he assumed office, hate speech is because of his hate actions that draw hate speech. There is no fire. There's no smoke without fire. If you are treating or acting people, ruling people with your hand, they will follow you with your hand. That is it.
Okay.
He thinks there is no. This government is not the government that will bring Nigeria out of their problem. They are causing more problems, causing divisions in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you for your opinion. Sorry to cut you off there. Your time is up. But we thank you for your opinion. But we must also add that that's your opinion, number one. And this platform also is not also to be used, for name calling or calling out the president. If you want to call out policies, go ahead to call out policies, but no attack on persons and what have you. Let's take our final call. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, my name is Jimmy. I'm calling from Orozo.
Jimmy, you have 30 seconds, please.
All right. Sometimes we talk about social media. It has to be regulated. Twitter has taken down our president's tweet. Twitter also acts that said they don't even know who the president is. Sponsored answers, funding and all that. Have Twitter ever done anything good for our people here? So we should be asking what they are really up to. Thank you very much.
All right, Jimmy, thank you for your contribution. But let me quickly engage you. Quick question to you, Jimmy, as you listen to me on the radio, is the fact that let me just fact check you. One, there's no available information to me as a journalist who should know where Twitter has said it does not know Nigeria or said it doesn't know our president. That's fake news that has been created in some certain quarters and been spread across the country. And then you ask, what has Twitter done for Nigerians? You want to definitely ask the millions of Nigerians who are on that platform, who are selling their businesses, for those who do not have the opportunity to own shops and own businesses, and therefore they have a platform where they can advertise their goods and services and put their life in order as things happen and as the country progresses. So because of our time, we couldn't let you, engage with these issues, but I just thought to make that clear so that we're all on the same page. All right, and so for our final, at the end of our conversation now, let's bring in our guest, Mr. Jide Ojo, to tell us in closing, Mr. Ojo, sir. So, of course, seeing I referenced or I mentioned the fact that so the handles of some of our leaders are still active or are still open, and even after the Twitter ban, we are aware that Governor of Kaduna State, and even after when the Attorney General had already threatened, that anybody using the application will find themselves in court, and all of that, and we found that Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, one person who has used that platform very well and continue to use the platform, also used it one last time to do a retweet. I have not checked now to know if he has deactivated his account, but the point I'm trying to make is that many people expect that the Nigerian government and the Twitter corporation, either not necessarily be the owner, who's Jack Dorsey, but probably members of staff. And now that there's a division opened up here in Accra, in Ghana, that there will be some form of conversation, some form of negotiation, that will therefore reopen the services in Nigeria, because the corporation Twitter has also given its word that it will continue to work to ensure that everybody has access to the platform. And remember that the key point of Twitter is that it has, in many ways, democratized information by giving everybody a say, putting everybody on equal level. If you are a president, fine, you have your say. If you are a commoner, you also have your say as well. And it just, has that way of putting everybody together. But now, the question is also looking at other countries like India. They have also taken strong exceptions to some of the actions that they see on Twitter because their citizens have used the platform to call out the government's ineffectiveness in handling the COVID-19 pandemic and all of that. And you see that in many ways, the Indian government has gone to the Twitter headquarters in their country repeatedly, to ask them to do a few things to ensure that the space is more tolerable to the government, as it were. So, but the question, in just providing all of this background, is to ask you, what's the way forward? What sorts of negotiations do we expect to see? What sorts of give and take? Will the government be making some demands? What do you think? What do you think happens next?
Well, for me, I'm not working for government. I think the good negotiations and when there is conflict, there is always an opportunity to negotiate restoration of law and order, peace and tranquility. But let me cite the instance of the Foreign Affairs Minister summoning the ambassador of US, UK, European Union, Ireland, Canada, I guess, to a meeting 2 days ago. And they have, at least it's gone viral that the Foreign Affairs Minister was trying to say that Twitter must act responsibly if it wants the sanctions on it to be lifted. But yes, I quite agree. Even for local adverts of alcoholic drinks, they will tell you drink responsibly. Because what I would rather take is, yes, maybe Twitter had to employ more hands or improve the features on its platform to be able to detect and suspend or flag comments that borders on hate speech, fake news, and abuse, and maybe part of what I would suggest is Twitter needs to be even-handed. It doesn't have to wait for people to protest that Nnamdi Kanu has made a very incendiary tweet before it should act. It should be self-activating that whether you are a king or a pauper or a layman, you should be treated equally. So that is on the part of Twitter for it to employ more hands. Possibly, I don't know how they do their fact-checking, how they monitor what people post on their site. But if they can improve on the turnaround time to check and make sure that there's full compliance of the users of that platform in Nigeria to ethical use of Twitter. And that can be promoted by Twitter itself investing in advertisement on how to use its platform in a responsible manner. But I think for us, as Twitter users, I have a Twitter account, we need self-censorship. We need to know that we have no other country apart from this one. And we must not join hands to destroy this house called Nigeria. But I'm also shocked, and I'm happy that you actually put out the lie that has been circulating that John David tweeted about not knowing who the president of Nigeria is and all of that. That is another creation of figment of imagination of those who want to call the dog a bad name in order to hang it. This was just something that came up within yesterday and today. It was not there last week. It was not said to be part of the reason why the presidency suspended the account of Twitter. Why is it coming now that they are saying that he lampooned the president?
All right, Mr. Joe.
Something like that. So it then tells you that some of these things, even as we talk of fake news and hate speech, could also emanate from
the users.
Official quarters. But lastly, let me commend your platform, the African Independent Television. I watched your flagship just 2 days ago, where you said you are ready to go to court, even to challenge the autocratic directive of Nigeria National Broadcasting Commission to ask all private and public media houses to deactivate their Twitter account. Because I was very, very happy when your organization said no, NBC has overreached itself on this, and that is it.
All right.
The point is, even if there is a spark
Mr. Joe, we are out of time.
And a business platform, should that translate to you threatening to arrest over 40 million Nigerians who are subscribers who may want to defy that order and claiming that you are going to prosecute them as the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has done? Does that promote peace and unity? The threat by the National Broadcasting Commission to also sanction media houses that doesn't deactivate their Twitter account, is that also fair and just?
All right, Mr. Ojo.
In a business environment where people do all manner of branding, marketing, and advert. So I think we all must act responsibly, whether you are government official, whether you are citizens of Nigeria.
Okay. All right.
Enjoy to act responsibly, even in the use of social media.
Thank you. Thank all social media platforms.
Inclusive of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and blog.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Jide Ojo, is a public affairs analyst and columnist based here in Abuja. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. You too as well. And thank you to all our listeners, all those who tried to call in and, the network errors, and as well as those who called in and made their contributions. We appreciate you and we thank you. We expect that you will join us next week, Wednesday at this time, 1 p.m. We'll bring you another very interesting conversation. All right, that's Vision Nigeria. For today, I am Usai Tinyari. Stay blessed.